good to be here. Thank you for having me. Pleased to read with Dawn and Ernie. So I'm going to start off with this a poem, a cat poem. It's a typical thing for a poet to do, is to write a poem about a cat. And I know that both Ernie and Dawn, they really like cats. So I'm going to start off with this one. It's called Patience. His ears set back, his eyes fixed on the dark beneath the radiator, the cat crouches, glimpsing whiskers there, 2 feet, a nose. And when a mouse decides to test the light, sniffing the kitchen air, he rises higher on his haunches, but he doesn't pounce. Instead, he allows it to escape, tail twitching behind it, back into the dark, untried. Reckless, he waits. Patience is also risk, and though it may not seem this way to most, that takes real nerve, letting a chance slip past, believing that a better one will come. Meanwhile, the pretzel bag's chewed full of holes, turds are on the counter, the mouse alive. So this poem, it's called A Dedication, and people used to, I guess they still do, call into the radio station and dedicate songs to people. So that's what the title refers to. And it was, I wrote this is an older poem, I wrote this years ago, and it was set to music by a student at Westchester University. It was performed as like an art song piece, a dedication. I'm surrounded by women. They talk amongst themselves, ignoring me. A cocktail party is in progress. Laughter, the clinking of glasses, conversations blending into one steady drone. A brunette gracefully wields an unlit cigarette between 2 fingers, like a threat, always on the verge of lighting up, and speaks excitedly about work. And in a chair on the other side of the room, a black-eyed blonde crosses her legs, looks around, bored. She sips from a flute of champagne. Someone laughs shrilly. A drink is spilled. The room fills up with fog. The women become indistinct, a crowd of chattering shadows. The starlight is locked out. I'm closed in. I open my mouth to speak and produce a sound like shattering glass. Hey, you, out there in the night somewhere, maybe sitting in your car at a red light alone. Turn on your radio. You might hear my song. This is a Sestina. And I know what you're probably thinking, like, why would you go and do something like that, write a Sestina? But I flatter myself that this is more than a creative writing exercise, and that the repetition of the form matches the paranoia of the speaker in this poem. And maybe you see what I mean. It's called The Men in Blue. I keep telling myself that they're only harmless dreams. But every night I learn that these are empty words. They're there again, in the cemetery, across the street. Policemen, their sirens flashing red in the dark as they dig up graves. I know they're searching for something to accuse me of. And they laugh. I can't tell you how many times I've heard them laugh, late into the night. They pursue me through my dreams, ghouls in blue uniforms that never tire of searching. Pleading my innocence is useless. There are no words. They trap me in their lights as they pass me in the dark and smile, their squad cars creeping down the street. I have to look over my shoulder, walking down the street. Down an alley, I hear a dusty laugh, but see only in outline the glimmer of a badge in the dark. My life has been invaded by my dreams. The sides of buildings are covered with illegible words addressed to policemen, constantly searching. I worry what they might uncover with their searching. They say I killed a man on the street, left him lying dead. I can't accept their words. I protest, call them liars, but they only laugh. I tell them that it happened in my dreams, and how can I help what I envision in the dark? They gather evidence against me, working in the dark. Their whole lives are devoted to their searching. I've become deathly afraid of my dreams. A surveillance van is parked a little down the street where they've been listening to my calls. I should laugh, but it isn't funny. I'm paranoid about my words, that they may somehow convict me with my own words. Who knows what they might overhear in the dark? They might plant some drugs. It makes me sick how they'll laugh if I accidentally confess to something. Their searching is driving me crazy. They're across the street digging up bones of people I've never met, even in my dreams. The clocks all laugh. Both day and night are dark. My tormentors are searching through my words for bloodstains. I am followed down every street I walk down in my dreams. This one's called The Mugging. I had the muzzle of a gun or something pressed into the small of my back. Your wallet, a voice demanded, dry, succinct, like breathing in my naked ear, unasked, a secret. As much as the gun, the robbery, his lifting out my wallet himself from my back pocket, his hand's invasion was what was violating. After, the thought of that's what made me vomit. My private world lost its private affect. Now, even sitting in my kitchen alone, I fear I cannot live my life apart. For weeks, when walking from the L to home, I felt the condensation of his breath against my ear in the newly pregnant dark. So this one's a kind of longer poem, narrative poem. It's based on a family story, a story that my dad used to tell a lot when I was a kid, that I was always fascinated by. And I think, I use that, or try to use it to question some popular wisdom. This is called The Elephant's Mouth. What's it take to join the circus? My father asked. A gang of workers were putting up a tent, big hammers ringing on the pegs in rhythm. I'm thinking that I'd like to join up with you guys. This was 45 or thereabout, I guess, when the circus used to come to town each year. My father was just a boy then, 8 or 9. Their train would rumble past his house on Guilford Road. Well, to join the circus, one offered, you gotta be brave. He leaned on his hammer and mopped his brow with his shirt. Are you brave, kid? He asked, appraising my father, who, conscious of the chuckling men, answered, I'm brave. Enough to stick your head up in an elephant's mouth? The workers gathered, happy for a break. I ain't afraid, he said, a bit less certain. Well, come on then. I know just the elephant. The animal was penned up in a tent nearby. Pulling back the flap, the man said, You sure? I'm sure, my father said, not sure at all. Not when he saw it stamp its mud-splattered feet. Held by his knees, my father was raised up to its mouth. And he did it, stuck his head inside, to the delight of all the roaring men. Then, eyes shut tight, pulled free, his bravery made clear. Whatever my father felt inside that creature's mouth, I'll never know. I've looked at elephants chewing grass or slack-jawed in repose and wondered, is it hot in there? Do they have teeth? My eyes were closed, my father says. I can't remember. I try to place myself within that tent. You weren't even thought of then, he laughs. I was a different person. So much has happened since. He thinks they told him that he should come back when he was older, that he was grade A circus material, and gave him passes to the show that night, which must have been at least a little disappointing. How does a kid go back to St. Cyril's after that? Desk of unworldly children blotting ink, a sister with her yardstick in the aisle, the wide blackboard that seemed to bar the way to fun. Within a few brief days, the tents were all brought down, and then the neighborhood was taken back by normal people and their normal task. No snakeskin man walked to the corner store for smokes. One of the hardest things I've ever had to do was to let go of my belief, long held, that I was set apart for something special, blessed by distinction like a high-wire trapeze artist. And, to be honest, I'm not sure I have let go. The illustrated woman haunts my nights with promises of some lost and unclaimed life. I have to will myself to go to work each day. But sometime in his 20s, my father married my mother. He sold his red hot rod convertible and then acquired a mortgage and raised 5 boys. For 30-some odd years, he worked for the school district. Today, my father lives just blocks from Guilford Road. No tent has gone up in the field for decades. The train line that ran through is long since gone, and he hardly can remember that elephant at all. So this is a poem about writing. Sorry. It's called Note on Creativity. And maybe 2 or maybe 3 people in here will get the dedication. It's for Francis Harvey Green. Maybe nobody gets it. Note on Creativity for Francis Harvey Green. That's the name of the library in Westchester.
Oh.
Yeah, you know.
That's one.
That's one. Note on Creativity. I want to write the poem that will win me all the beauties in the library. This studious young woman sitting alone at that long table doing her math homework, the effortless way she is beautiful, her black hair cinched back in a ponytail, a charming frustration across her brow. That tall one by the computer station, the length of her body, her sleepy panther grace, or the French girl from the elevator who said, "One please," so prettily, and smiled as if on her way to a photo shoot in her raincoat and calf-high leather boots. And the group near the exit there, chatting. I'm moments away from losing them for good. What can I write to make them notice me? Say, of course, he's sensitive. Look at his glasses. I just know he's the type who'll treat me right. Or, he freaks me out a little, but he's kind of sexy. That look in his eye, it makes my heart go crazy. Whatever they'd say, I don't know. Why don't you tell me? This poem I've got in mind is the bothersome kind that insists on itself. Words begin to gather, my pen to look forlorn, though I say, not now. I have to read the Fairy Queen. 4 more cantos by tomorrow. Now's the time for Britomart and Arthur, not poems for undergraduates in pink sweatpants. I have no time to look into my own enchanted mirror and call you through the glass. Come back later, when I'm ready for you. But it won't. I know that. It's so hard to call a moment back once it's passed. So I write it, or try to. I've got no choice. Neither do you. Yes, you. That's right. You think you have a way with words, don't you? Stop gaping then, you dummy, and close your book. Declare your victory, belly to belly with a co-ed goddess, your legs entangled, the bedroom light still burning above you. Don't shrink away from this, your moment. Write the poem that will change your life. So this is a Christmas poem. It's getting near Christmas. I have this Christmas poem that I wrote. I've never published it anywhere. I wrote it several years ago, but I never published it. Where do you publish a Christmas poem? When do you send it out? I don't know. Like, who wants a Christmas poem? I don't even know if this is a good one, but I'm going to read it anyway. It's called What I Want for Christmas. It's very materialistic, keeping in the spirit of the holiday. What I want for Christmas. One of those women who jump out of cakes. She would be young, preferably, 19 or 20, and what the hell, let's make her a blonde. One that looks good in a white bikini bottom and has a flat tummy. That'd work. No, not really. I wouldn't know what to do with her. We'd probably end up friends. She would look up to me. Later, she'd introduce me to her boyfriend, Kyle. He'd be a guy in a sleeveless shirt who likes to call me bro. Most likely, he'd look up to me too. How about a swordfish then? Or one of those big, goofy moose heads to mount on the wall above my fireplace. But I actually don't have a fireplace. So one of those too. And some logs to burn in my fireplace. And a velvet jacket. And a mug of grog. And a high-back leather chair to drink my grog in. A Model T Ford. A scarf. A pair of gloves. Some goggles. A submarine. A fleet of bicyclists. A typewriter possessed by the soul of an alcoholic playwright, or someone I could talk to. The nights are long and dark this time of year. Someone who makes me laugh, who finds something debonair about a man in glasses. She could have brown hair and sandy skin too, the whitest teeth, and a way of sighing to herself she probably doesn't even know about. There's a good movie playing downtown. Maybe she'd like to go. How am I doing on time? All right.
Oh, what, 1, 2 more?
Okay. So this one's called Personal Grooming. 3 times a week in a mask of foam, with a Bic disposable razor in my hand, I search for my face, scraping the stubble from my cheek. The man I see when I splash myself with water and wipe the steam off of the mirror could be me. He stares back at me with a long and searching look. This face I wear to work, the bank or bar, that poses for a photo with a smile summoned for the occasion, is one I've found. I've seen it reflected in the eyes of friends, teachers, women I took to bed. I've learned a lot about myself from all of them, read their letters of recommendation with weird greed. Now, inspecting my face after a shave, a towel wrapped jauntily around my shoulders, I'm surprised by a sense of otherness from my own reflection, as if I'm meeting with some casual acquaintance, a store clerk, or someone who rides the bus with me. And yet, that scrubbed up face is me, at least for now. Still, I can't help but imagine a wilder, stranger face. Not the professor's face I show above the lectern, bald and bespectacled, groomed and nervously polite, but bearded almost to my naked blue eyes something much more like an ape or wolf, a second animal face I can't quite disown. Perhaps this Tarzan, whose face I shun, is the true me. How could I know? Not until somehow, some Jane, lost among the tangled vines of an abstract jungle, her English lady's dress soaked through with sweat, finds him there beneath the high canopy and smiles, calling him by my name. So, last one here. This is, I live across the street from Quaker Cemetery. It's called, and I wrote this poem about it, it's called Friends Southwestern Burial Ground. The place is loaded up with dead, but still the low white tombstones hunkered in the grass are baby teeth that bear us no ill will. Its stony wall and Gothic fence encompass a rural oasis tucked among the lanes of anxious row homes, corner stores, and taverns. At night, the brakes of the commuter trains screech faintly beneath the screech of its environs. There, death is made to seem a shutting out of all the noise and fuss of dailiness, and somehow we feel more at ease about this last breath we all have awaiting us. Outside its gates, this life's so thick with grief that we can hardly wait for that relief. Thank you.